Welcome to Money Talk Viewpoint. I'm Chantel Leeson. Successful businesses have one thing in common. They know how to connect with the right people with the right message at the right time. We at Money Talk Viewpoint are a marketing platform and podcast for financial professionals who specialize in high net worth, ultra high net worth, family-owned businesses, and family offices. If you're looking for a way to market your services, we do that to make sure that we have people that meet our criteria. But reach out to us at moneytalkviewpoint.org. Now, with that being said, I want to introduce my guest for the day. This is Anna Marie Viti-Welch. She's the president of Viti Companies. And Anna Marie, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Well, thank you. And I'm really good because I love the weather right now.
Oh, and you and me both. Thank God. I have enough of our winter, which lasted forever, and then the rain that went on forever. So I'm glad to see it change. So tell me how you're doing this. I want to ask you something. Now, you're in a business and you're president of the company. A lot of our guests primarily are men, because men do tend to have a bigger stronghold when it comes to the investment industry and money and finances. But there are a burgeoning number of women like myself and yourself who've stepped it up into this industry. How did you get started?
Well, it is a family business, third generation. We're celebrating 85 years.
85 years.
Yes.
That speaks a lot about your family.
Yeah. So my grandfather started in 1938, and then it was my father. And as I was growing up, I was the one, because I'm the oldest of 6 children, that was recruited during high school and college to come in and file the paperwork and things that people did not want to do. And so they wouldn't really train me for doing anything else because I was only there a couple hours a day. So, and I wasn't there for very long periods of time. But I graduated from college and I wanted to be a special ed teacher. And I came back to Chicago from Arizona. And during a summer, my father said, why don't you come and try it out for the summer because you have it off? Sure. So it was great because they trained me. I was able to do more things than file. And when I was supposed to go back and sign my contract, my father goes, why don't you just quit and work for me? And that's how I'm here 37 years later.
Wow.
And still love it.
You know, the good part, I got to tell you, to me, what I like about your story is that you're still part of that generation that actually started from the bottom. Today, we come out of school or graduate school and we want to start at a high level, but the fundamentals are still important. So you know the industry inside and out, from the paperwork to, and now you're at the top of the company. So you really know your business.
Mm-hmm.
And are people trained that way in your company when they come in? They don't start at the bottom anymore. They start in the middle somewhere now, don't they?
They do. It just depends. I mean, we started some of our, I'm going to say receptionists, and we're training them. And if they can go to the next level, or we feel like it, that they can, then they will be promoted for sure. But we also have hired seasoned, experienced account managers in home and auto and business insurance, and also life and health.
Wow.
So we do it both ways.
Well, I mean, what are the demographics of your company, and how do you find the people you're looking for? How do you help them?
Well, first of all, we're located in a northern suburb of Illinois. It's Highwood, which is small. Most people don't know where that is, but we can write all over the country. Most of our business is in Illinois, but we do have companies in other states. And the thing is we represent many insurance companies. So if somebody came with, and has a dynamite factory, we can insure them. So they're all over, our clients.
Well, listen, let me ask you, it's a simple question, but it's a factual question. For the people that don't understand it, what's the purpose of insurance?
Well, it's really to protect you. So, with liability, somebody sues you, you have a food business, you have product liability. Well, if they sue you, you need to get an attorney. the insurance coverage, anything that has liability in the name, provides you with an attorney, pays the fees, settlements, and fines up to the limit that you have. So again, it protects you. Also, workman's comp. It's a law in most states to have workman's comp. So if your employee gets injured, then the workman's comp will help pay for the benefits that that the state has mandated.
Okay, now so you carry insurance for individuals as well as for businesses.
Yes, we do. Mhm.
What type of businesses what kind of insurance do businesses need?
Well, most people need general liability. That is, like I said, it protects you if you're sued, if you're liable by a third party. And also, like I said, it includes product liability most of the time. So someone says they got sick off your food or allergic, or even was hurt by your product. They offer you, like I said, they give you an attorney, and they also help pay for any type of fines or anything like that up to the limit. And usually we give $1 million. It just depends on your assets. Everybody needs cyber. I will ask everybody that I talk to, do you have a computer and do you use it? Now, a lot of people have their website and it's just informational, but I know most people have their accounting on their computer. And so the cyber liability helps you with if somebody hacks the ransomware, they open up your computer and say, hey, give me $10,000 or I won't give you your information back. We've got a lot of people that have e-commerce or a little bit of e-commerce selling online. What happens if they get hacked and their business goes down? Well, that includes business interruption. It is a law for a business to protect the client's personal information, and we know no one can do that, even the government or these large companies that are getting hacked. Well, since it's a law, you can get sued. And so it includes liability coverage also. But remember, up to the limit that you have, and it's not the sky like I tell everybody.
I got to tell you something on a sidebar. You just opened my eyes. Because we're a small business, but I was hacked. And this is our third year. So this is the third naming of our company. And we were hacked a couple of times. And we had to get a cyber investigator to go back and check what was going on. And I won't go into detail, but that is the most frightening thing when you are trying to build a business and you're hacked by someone. We had to take the business offline. You're right. We're new. So when you take a new business offline, you're out of business for that point in time.
Right.
And in and it happened twice. This is twice and that third time. And then so I re-emerged this Money Talk viewpoint. It is frightening. It is very frightening. So let me ask you, what are some of the common mistakes or misconceptions that small businesses make for insurance and their need for insurance?
Well, first of all, they think insurance covers everything, and it doesn't. There are exclusions. Another thing, people think that it's kind of like buying a car or any type of, I'm going to say, product or service that you can go and check around. I tell people, do not look at the price first. Look at the coverage first. For instance, I help at 1871, which is the largest tech co-working space in the United States. It's in Chicago. And I have some of those clients come to me and I review their current coverage. Well, I've come across where all they have is an office policy. They don't even have cyber coverage. So just beware. You want to find an agent that knows your type of business, first of all. And second of all, you might want to ask, what are the exclusions? Know a little bit more. I mean, your agent really should be talking to you so you understand.
I guess I'm surprised to hear this because I know that on my side of the industry, there are a lot of things that people don't get. It's only to the level of that agent's experience. And it's not that they're trying to avoid being around their agent or run from their agent, but there are a lot of times your agent doesn't have the ability to provide all the coverage that you need, particularly if they're captive. Am I right in saying that?
What did you say?
If they're like a captive agency.
Right. So they have one insurance company, a lot of times like State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, American Family, Geico. They're wonderful companies. They're A-rated. But if you went there with a startup, or again, like I also write cannabis, they would not be able to write your business.
Really?
Yeah, because they normally want someone that's in business for 3 years. And they don't have really options. It's one company.
Now, I'm going to tell you, this is my belief. This is I'm sure there are a lot of other small businesses like myself who are watching this show. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them started up during COVID. Mm-hmm. A lot of us do not know what we have that could protect us until something goes wrong. Mm-hmm. No matter where they are in the country, they can still reach out to you, can't they? Right. And another misconception I'm going to tell you, I just was talking to another resource just before you. She asked me, when does a business need insurance? When you launch, not when you start getting money and cash flow. It's when you start, because anybody can sue you. Also, like I said, with cyber. But again, I don't like when people are insurance poor, and really you should be getting bare bones and options, and you decide. And you don't have to load up on insurance right away. You can always add it later. Is it cost adjusted based on what the revenue? Because when you're new, you have very little revenue stream, and you know, right. Small businesses. Today you have a client, tomorrow you don't have a client. Today you're making thousands of dollars, tomorrow you have nobody for the next 5 or 6 months. Right. Startup. I'm glad you're telling us that. Yeah, because be careful, because some of these policies, workman's comp for sure, because it's based on payroll for the next 12 months. A startup or a small business that's growing is not going to be able to let you know. So at the end of the policy period, the company comes back and says, prove to me what your payroll was. And so if you've underestimated your payroll, you're going to be paying at the end of that policy period. If you overestimated, you're going to be given a credit. What we like to do is we like to check in with that company maybe after 4 or 5 months to see how things are going. And if we have to increase the payroll, we will. If we have to decrease it, we will. I don't want somebody to get hit with, a $10,000 audit. Who budgets for things like that? You're exactly right. And general liability, same thing. It's based on sales a lot of times. But if someone's new, I tell them, please don't give me the amount you budgeted for. What do you think in the next 12 months, realistically? And then we can always increase it later. I don't want people to be paying on a lot of premium because their sales are way too high. So you're not going to have lunch again. I need to go over stuff for myself. You opened my eyes here. Let me ask you, what are some of the circumstances that a business forgets about or don't think about when it comes to e-commerce or the 1099s or things? What are some of the things that they miss? Okay, well, a lot of people don't understand that 1099s are like your employees. So for instance, I spoke to someone who is a web designer, but all they do is they do like the content. Then they have somebody do something else and somebody else do something else. Well, if let's say they had something happened and their client sued them and it was because of their 1099. Well, if they don't have professional liability or coverage, then you're going to end up paying for it or using your own insurance. Maybe an easier is a contractor. It's a general contractor. He does not have any employees. He goes and hires a carpenter, electrician, a plumber.
Well, you need to make sure that those people have their own workman's comp, their own general liability, because if something happens and they don't have those coverages, they're going to come after you who hired them for workman's comp to pay for their their injuries. Or if they're sued because the house fell down because the carpenter didn't put enough, wood up. I mean, I'm not a carpenter, but then they're going to go after you. So be careful and always ask your 1099s if they have their own insurance. If they don't, and you don't want them to have it, you can get coverage for them, but you need to tell your agent that also. Well, your agent should be asking you if you have W-2 employees or 1099s in the first place, so you can have that conversation.
I want to add this point. I think with a lot of small businesses, they start because they have an idea. Sometimes they want to make money on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, I launched this podcast talk show because I had worked for several investment firms in my life, many, many, many years. And I realized as a financial professional, and I'm not one now, so I'm not giving advice, but I recognized that I was vulnerable because there's only so much that I could explain under my licensing, but that did not provide the client with everything that they need. And I'm hoping, and I know we will be having a lot of financial advisors watch the show because many of them do. But they need to be aware it's not about selling away. It's about protecting the client.
Right.
It's finding what's in the client's best interest. And that may not be a product under your umbrella. What's really important is that client should not be led astray or led at risk because of what you didn't know. Mm-hmm. So reach out to Anne Marie. And I have a couple of questions to ask you here. How does this person know if they're covered properly?
Well, I'll let you know that you should really be having conversations and a very in-depth conversation with them. I know a lot of people don't like to call insurance agents because they don't know what to ask. But during the conversation with your agent, a lot of times questions come to mind. You want to make sure you have or feel confident with that agent, that they're telling you good information and a lot of information. Because I have people call me and say, why do you need all this? And it's because I need to make sure that I'm going to cover you properly. So
what should the person be looking for in their insurance agent?
Well, someone that, like I said, that they get along with, I'm going to say somebody that's responsive. Somebody, like I said, that gives them bare bones and gives them options and tells them if they don't take it, what could happen. So it's not just, okay, give me a few information, let me plug it in the computer and start quoting, and then here you go, it's $500. You want them to go over the proposal so they understand what they're getting. And you can, I have to say, demand that, because it's very easy for us to send a proposal and say, here, and people look at the price and, oh, okay, great. Well, what's in that policy? What's in that quote? So,
before we wrap up here, I want to ask a couple of questions again. One, you need to tell people online what's the best way to reach out to you, whether there are a professional financial advisor or an individual who is just starting off a business. What's the best way to reach out to you?
They can go on our website, www.viticompanies.com, and that's V Victor, ITI companies.com. And there's a button called Contact Me, and it's going to go to myself. And we can definitely have a conversation. Doesn't cost anything. Or call our phone number, 847-432-1000. My name's Anna Maria Viti-Welch. I'm on LinkedIn, so you could also reach out to me that way. Okay,
well, I will put that in the closing credits, but also put it in the opening credits. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to cover one other thing before we wrap up completely.
Sure.
And that is, again, about startups, because that is probably the most vulnerable. I think when a person has been in business for a certain period of time, they start meeting the people. Someone says, get insurance, they know to get insurance. But I think the most vulnerable are those people like myself. When I was hacked several times, at a very start, you think, well, I'm not making revenue yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still vulnerable whether you're making revenue or not. Right. And just to clarify, It's not some astronomical cost. You base it on what they really have at their disposal. Am I correct?
And then get options. It doesn't cost anything to get options. So maybe you can't afford cyber right now, but see, maybe the agent really should be following up with you if you really need it, but can't afford it. But you can even buy like $5,000 worth of cyber liability. 10,000. It's not really that much.
I'm glad.
So,
All right. Anything you want to say before we wrap up here?
Yes, my tip, which I love to give every business owner, never sign a contract or a lease without showing your insurance agent the insurance requirements. I'll tell you a story real quick. Architect came to me. He had an unsigned contract. I reviewed it. They wanted him to have $1 million of cyber liability. Now that's really, I think, outrageous. So I said to him, go back and ask them either to waive it or let's give them $50,000. It's probably $50 a year. He went back. Guess what? They waived it. If he didn't have us look at that, he probably would have signed it, of course, and he would have been paying thousands of dollars for that $1 million of cyber. Now, I will tell you, it's probably an attorney that's trying to help their client and just puts in every type of coverage. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. So just beware. Every contract and every lease has insurance requirements.
Wow. So let me share again. This is Anna Marie Viti-Welch of the Viti Companies. Reach out to Anna Marie online, and I will put the credits at the end of our show and also at the beginning. Anna, I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you.
And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna schedule a time with you.
Okay, great.
I can find out what have I been missing and what have I forgotten.
Wonderful.
All righty. Thank you very much.